Here.
Commissioner Gallagher.
Here.
Commissioner Buckman.
Here.
Commissioner Warren present.
As you wish, please stand for the pledge and the invocation.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Clerk.
Dear Lord, we thank you for all the gifts that you bestow on us. We ask today for wisdom, guidance, and discernment on the decisions that have to be made before the commission. We also ask for divine grace and presence in the Middle East. Give comfort to those who need it. Give strength to those who you desire to have it. All these things we ask in your Son's name, Jesus Christ our Lord.
Amen.
Okay, the consent agenda is on board and has been published. Motion?
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
I'll second.
All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Aye, thank you. And wait till Dan gets in here because of this item. Dan, we want to talk about one of your employees and just acknowledge her. And do you have anything to say?
Noeline has been here 42 years. She started in 1981 and has been a very good employee and never questioned and done what she was asked to all those years. She worked for the prosecutor's office. She worked for my office the last several years, and we're going to miss her.
Well, we prepared this plaque for her. Would you please see that she gets it?
I most certainly.
And I think Friday was her last day of employment.
Actually, today is, but her last day of work was Friday.
Okay, well, this will be up here, just see that she gets that, would you please?
Thank you.
Well, Dan and them last Friday, Dan and them had a little recognition party for Doyleen out in jail, and they had a really good turnout. It was really great out there. Thanks, Dan.
And we do appreciate her and our long-term employees. Okay. Request for $30,000 in the ARPA funding for building replacement. Now, that lower left corner is a building that the Road and Bridge is surrendered use of to the Sheriff's Department for some of their storage. And, that's the corner here somewhere. It's over there. Clay, you wanna talk about this, or?
I can, or,
Clay, there's a building you're gonna be, right?
that's the building that we want to raise and then reconstruct. That building's about to fall down.
Yeah.
And, so that building there is the one that we want to demolish and replace with a similar type structure, only just bigger, longer, and taller.
That's just a lean-to shed, is what it is.
Correct.
Yeah.
It's just a metal
Correct.
covered pole barn.
Now, in doing this, it is our intent to, there may be one section of it that will be totally enclosed for storage, but other than that, it'll be just almost identical to what's there, only it will just be longer, taller,
Yeah.
and newer.
Okay, and so the $30,000, as I understand, we had planned for a very comprehensive jail kitchen work, but that's been cut back a little bit in scope. So the money will be available out of that fund.
Well, and I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, Bridget, there was going to be some storage facilities for maintenance equipment in the area where the kitchen's being renovated. And that has since been shifted to a structure that Road and Bridge had, an outside structure that would be very conducive to their needs and very practical since it's right there near the jail. So they shifted the construction costs for having maintenance down in the kitchen area, and maintenance is just gonna move into the building that we have, and with that reduction in costs, we were going to utilize and build this new
And
structure.
you talk about the building where the yellow arrow is. Is that the one?
Well, yes, that's correct, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it's right near the new maintenance, the new shop, fleet
Which
management.
doesn't show up on this picture, is it?
Right, the fleet management shop isn't in that picture, it's an older picture, but, yeah, so they're going to acquire that facility from Road and Bridge, and then we're gonna take what we had stored in that and put in this lean-to and utilize it that way. And so this funding will be for, building replacement for materials, and Road and Bridge will do the work themselves. So we'll save money that way, in that we will utilize our equipment and our labor.
This whole building's not on a slab, is it?
No,
Okay, so, okay.
no, it's just
And the new
dirt.
building will be?
Yes, that's just dirt.
Okay.
And the support piers, I don't really know how it's still standing, to tell you the truth, but it is.
Okay. All right,
Right.
motion?
That was a former Missouri Department of Transportation.
Correct.
Yes.
Yes.
I'll make a motion that we approve the request for 30,000 in the ARPA funding for the building replacement for road and bridge.
Second?
And I'll second that. You did say, yeah, he's been out of office, so I just wanted to make sure.
You done?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's all right.
Questions?
Well, I do, not to get them mixed up, but this will come from actually the jail kitchen project, which we had, the jail kitchen project we've already approved on July 25th, a meeting to bid that out. So that will be bid here this month. And actually, that was reduced down to actually what we're doing is replacing the coolers in the kitchen. There's a new water softener, the floors out there, the concrete floor polishing, and Dan knows about the windows. There's a big amount of windows has to be replaced, and that will be bid out this month.
Those are the little jail cell windows?
Yeah, they're
About that
very
thick.
very expensive.
Yeah, they're very thick
Yeah.
windows.
$9.
Yeah.
I wanted this building that we are moving into from Road and Bridge, we're moving all of our grass cutting equipment, our weed eaters, all our combustible materials out of the basement, and they will all be out in that building away from everything else now.
Okay.
And that, we get things on that every so often with having gas, weed eater fuel, all those things in the basement of the facility, they will be out of there now.
Yeah. What can go wrong there? Yeah.
And it, you know, it's not an issue, not a problem, but, they have already moved in,
Okay.
and that's okay.
So it's a good thing we need to act on this.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Any other questions? Somebody had something. Dan, do you have? Okay. Okay, with no other questions, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, approval to accept grant from the Missouri Department of Health and Senior Services. Bridget, you wanna talk about this? Who wants to talk about this?
I can talk a little bit about it.
Go ahead, come on up.
In my infinite wisdom, I put in for a grant that I thought was just funding the Department of
Okay.
Senior Citizens.
Right.
Well, this grant, if we're awarded, it's $156,940. We're gonna utilize that to buy a TK-84 body scanner.
Right.
Okay, that's a 3D scanner, so anybody that walks into our jail, if they carry anything on them, will be immediately notified.
Metallic?
Plastic, anything.
Really?
Okay. It will spot, even if it's
So it goes by density? Okay.
And I've seen one of these scanners at work, and there, when you walk through it, Dan, have you seen, I mean, they will detect anything on
You can see anything anybody's got
Yeah.
inside their
it.
body.
It's there.
In any crevices, holes, ports, it shows everything.
I'm full of titanium, would I make it look?
You would light it up.
It'll also be.
They call me T-Man, by the way.
So many mattresses that we're gonna get, in which we've gotta go with, bids because it's about $12,000 worth of mattresses. We already know through Bob Barker, is who we order our mattress for already. So my question is, do we really have to bid if we've already got a contract with Bob Barker who provides us with our mattresses?
Bridget, you wanna speak to that?
What's the-
If they're on state contract, you'll have to find out, and then it'll have to be purchased under the state contract number if they are.
Okay. Now,
They have been in the past.
okay. Did I hear you say it's a matching?
No, it's a block.
Blocker, no.
No.
But Randy, where would you put the scanner in?
I'll probably put it,
At Sally
with
Port?
Dan's approval, get to Sally Port there 153. Everybody comes in,
perfect.
we walk through there.
And you all know that we got hit with a lawsuit for doing strip searches.
Yes.
This will eliminate that problem for us.
Okay.
Yeah, it's good.
Will it, pick out ingested
Yes.
drugs?
Anything, anywhere inside your body.
Then actually you would you would go through this, say, a room before you even enter the jail.
Yeah,
Before you
it's
get
a
into the
structure.
jail.
You would
They
step
got
into
bed
it,
bugs?
you'd step into it for about 8 to 10 seconds.
Oh, but we'll be done with the price and everything else.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Okay, motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve to accept a grant from DHSS from the Missouri Department of Health and Senior Citizens for the Sheriff's Department
Senior
for
Services.
$156,940.
Senior services.
Senior services, okay.
What did you say?
Citizens.
Senior services.
Okay, second?
I'll second that.
Any questions, Louis?
If awarded.
If awarded.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got it read up
If
there.
it's not awarded, then I'd like to come back and speak about maybe using some of the, money that we've been awarded through our opioid settlement to purchase it.
Yeah, but that's got to be strictly opioid abatement.
Right.
I don't know if this.
Well, this will detect any opioids that they try to bring into our industry.
Okay, but that's a good question, but, that is very specific on its use.
If it put
We'll have to look- we'll look
certain
at it.
Positions or places, you'll find it.
We'll look at it,
Alright.
but I don't
Let's
know
see
if
what
it
this
qualifies.
gets approved for.
Right, okay.
If it doesn't, we might find ways some other.
When do you anticipate the grant to be awarded?
Did Deb give me a date?
I think it's,
Because I know the deadline.
like about the middle of November,
Yeah.
wasn't it? Something like that, around the 20th that we
Okay, a
did.
couple of weeks, 3 weeks, we should know that.
Yeah, I was thinking it was funding, I wouldn't be worried until Bridget made me aware that it was a grant.
Alright. Okay.
Well, it didn't specify really that it was a grant when he was filling out the paperwork, so. It's an easy mistake. It wasn't very clear.
Okay.
That's not the first one he's made.
Nor the last. Nor will it be the last.
Okay, any other questions, comments? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Aye, thank you.
Aye.
Thank you, Randy. Okay, body scanners. Who wants to talk about this one? Different, this is different than the last one, right?
No, this is the same, the
So
body
this is a
scanners.
duplicate of that last one? Different dollar amount?
This is only for the body scanners for that grant
Okay, oh,
that
okay.
he was just talking
So
about.
if we get the grant, then we can buy these, is that what you're saying?
Yes, however, this is that new cooperative,
Right?
company that we signed up with, but they've not gotten back with me if this specific scanner is covered under their cooperative
Okay.
contract. Therefore, I mean, if you wanna do this, but I think that probably you'd also want to approve for them to solicit competitive bids in case
Got
this
that.
doesn't come through,
The
so.
last line
Yeah, this is used by all Department of Corrections.
there. I'm sorry?
The TAC 84 is what DOC uses, Department of Corrections.
Okay,
That's the body scanner that they purchase.
okay. Slightly different dollar amount, this is 147, that was 156,940. So,
The other amount
That
was
was
with
the
the
total.
mattresses, yeah, it was the total for the mattresses plus the scanner.
Yeah.
Okay.
Was the grant amount.
okay, I didn't see the mattresses.
So
Yeah.
before you make a motion here, are we gonna motion to seek bids? Or are we motion to purchase from this? I assume this has got a state contracted.
It's a cooperative, so it works the same way, but they haven't got back with me, so I don't know that.
But
it's
there's a
ready.
question of whether they can supply this item.
Well, they can supply it probably, however, it might not be under that state, that contract, and so then we would have to do competitive bids.
So I would ask for a motion that allows us to purchase these under USC 19, if that's available, but also to apply for grant, or bids, excuse me, if it is not available.
That would cover both, right?
Yeah.
Right.
And that is predicated on you getting this grant, correct?
Oh, we've done that.
No,
Approval of the grant.
If it's approved.
you've approved the grant application. This is, my point is, the motion be subject to these appropriations from this grant. You can't
I see.
authorize to buy something that we don't have the grant for yet.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying? This, you just put it on the end of the motion,
Yeah.
subject to the
I
grant
understand.
appropriation, and you're fine.
Okay, good point.
Okay.
Okay, if funds are available. Okay. Motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve to purchase the body scanner through Allied Corporate if the funds are available through the grant, would be, which grant was that?
DHSS.
Senior citizen.
The senior citizens grant, yeah. And if not, yeah, the senior services.
Thank you.
And if, and then also that we, have a bid agreement, or bids for, solicit bids
If not,
for the
we
body
over-
scanners if that grant is not available.
And Allied is not a provider.
Okay.
So let me just reiterate this for you
Okay.
a second. We are going to buy this from them if it's available. If not, we're gonna seek bids subject to appropriation from this grant.
Yes.
Is that what was said? I thought that's what.
Okay. Did I get
And
that?
I will second that.
Okay, questions? Bob?
I'm kind of confused. Is this firm currently on state contract, Missouri state contract?
It's a cooperative purchasing agreement, so it works the same as a state contract. So we have a contract with them, and they've already done all the bidding, so then we can just use all that, so we don't have to do the competitive bids.
We just don't know if it's available at this
Okay.
point.
Right.
If it's not, then we gotta go back to the bid process. And that's what that motion would do. You said
Yes,
second.
I seconded it.
Okay, any other questions? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Randy. Okay, we got a letter from Lead Belt Materials. Let me go back a little bit. This is the front of the Web Road, facility. And you see those vertical white lines on the building, those are downspouts. The downspouts are from the guttering, of course, and to bring a lot of water down. It's 100, can't remember the square feet, 26,000 square feet of it. And, they bring a lot of water down, and the water goes across the driveway. And because we're elevating the driveway, it tends to go under the driveway, the walking path, excuse me. And so to solve this, we dug drainage pipes from each downspout across the, parking lot into the ditch across the front of the building. And that was before we went back and repaved the parking lot. That was all part of the plan. Lead Belt Materials did the entire job, including putting in the drain. And it's under their contract, their agreement. After the parking lot was paved, we noticed settling over each drain line. And they were supposed to compact this material before they paved it, and apparently they didn't get that done well. Lead Belt Materials has acknowledged the fault. They say, yeah, we didn't do our job well, we will fix it. But we would like to wait until springtime to do the repairs. First of all, because of the weather, obviously, but secondly, let that settle some more so the problem's over with by the time we get it done. So, but what we would like it if you would go ahead and pay us the bill for the full amount. We just guarantee that we'll come back and do the repair. So that's what the letter is. It's just their statement that they will finish the job. They acknowledge full responsibility. And like I say, they'll take care of all expenses. They just would like to have their money. They spend a lot of money on pavement, labor and such. So I would ask for a motion to approve their letter of agreement to take care of this as I've described it.
Please, this ever happened in the past?
Well, no, I mean, any pipe or drainage issues that Road and Bridge does out on the road, we do ourselves. And we ensure that it's all sealed and compacted, and so that when they do an overlay, usually when we overlay a road, we will come through and change out all the roadway pipes. So that when the final finished product is down, everything below grade is repaired or improved. So we haven't had this issue because we do that subgrade work ourselves. If there would be an issue, it'd be our fault. Well, they did this subgrade work, and you know, it's my assumption, as is everyone's, that it just wasn't compacted enough, well enough.
And maybe the wrong fill.
Could be, but to say we've ever encountered an issue such as this, well, Road and Bridge really don't do any parking lots, you know. We do our roads and we take care of that ourselves. And now, I will say it has happened a time or two with us, even at our fault, and we have to go through and make the repairs, but,
It's got a nice washboard effect.
Yeah.
But, the only thing I would say about the letter, if you do this, is make sure they do it, you know, they're on state contracts that usually start around, when do their state contracts? June first or May 5th? We would like it this done before they,
They're saying it's springtime.
yeah, spring, before they're.
and it would make sense now, to answer your question, Commissioner, whenever we replace pipes such as this, or turn a road back to gravel, do subgrade, we usually let it sit for 6 months to allow it to rain, to allow it to settle, freeze and thaw cycles. We're doing this right now on Corber Road. We just built a bridge and the approaches, we're gonna leave them gravel till spring, for that very reason. Now, we're at a luxury, we can do that, so to speak, not inconveniences drivers. It's a mess for a while, for 4, 5, 6 months. But the end product is much better as a result of it. So, we will
We
have
didn't
to.
have that option out there.
That's right.
Because
That's-
they did it
that's
all in
exactly
1
right.
week.
Yes.
And if they would have let it be exposed, you would have had
So-
just like what's happening on that, I don't know which road it is, Potosi or something, that they cut across and they filled it in and now it's 6 inch
Right.
deep from people. And so that would have been all winter like that. So this is a better than having unexposed, but they're gonna have to come back and fix it.
Well, what we need to make sure that we got full confidence the work they do for us,
Yeah.
they'll come back and fix this.
Yeah, and the letter assures that.
And they do, yeah, and I just wanna make sure we know that what we're doing here with letting them have, you know, paying them full before they finish it. If we have a bid bond with somebody that's holding their money and they haven't completely finished what they've messed up, that's exactly why you have a bid bond. That
Now,
we know
typically,
this in the future that a lot of them are gonna ask.
Road and Bridge has done that on some of our paving projects, hold the final payment until they're finished, and that's all well and good. But this wasn't a road and bridge project, so we really, we were asked for some advice and some, oversight a little bit, but this was a maintenance and courthouse.
Great company, don't get me wrong.
Any other, I have motion and second,
Well,
No, you
not yet.
You do not have a motion yet.
okay, so I'm looking for a second.
You're looking for a motion first.
You're gonna make a motion.
We get a motion.
Okay.
I'll make a motion that we approve the letter to Lead Belt Materials for the payment of the Weber Road Facility parking lot.
I'll second.
Questions?
How much is the payment?
It's 38,000 something. I don't have it now.
No, what was, it was 120 total?
38.
This is the whole parking lot.
Yeah, for
Okay.
the whole project
Okay, yeah.
is,
That was the ditches, the downspouts, everything.
everything, you know.
Yeah.
I would know, but I didn't approve it, so.
Well, we made that point twice. Bob?
I'm kind of confused in that we're going to pay for a project and yet there still need to do additional work. Wouldn't it been more reasonable to withhold a certain amount of funds that would be required for them to actually complete the work? If, for example, they don't come back, even though you have a letter saying they will come back, if you're really gonna be in a difficult situation trying to get them to come back, if they don't. If you withheld X amount of dollars for the project, more likely they'd come back.
Well, this letter is from them, just asking for this, and that's what we're presenting.
Now, if I may, they were prepared to make the repairs immediately. But, and I'll say, I was out of town when we had the final meeting with them, but John Gross, the administrator, was there. And so was Brian Briley when we met with them, and it was really the county's suggestion or John's suggestion that we wait till.
Yeah, let's clarify that. They said, we'll go
They-
back and repave it right now and get the
Yes,
money.
they did.
But we said, why don't you wait till the spring?
Now's not a good time.
Yeah, now it's not a good time.
That-
We've asked them to wait till the spring to finish that little.
If they would wait,
repair.
and they agreed to that,
And they agreed
and I
to
think
it.
that would be the most practical.
They would just like to be paid because they would fix it right now, but I agree. I think it'd be better let it sit all know, I'm out there every day, it'd be better to let it sit all winter and let it completely settle, so that's at our request to let it do that.
correct.
Otherwise, they'd have it done
That's-
this week. Unfortunately, I think over the winter, then it would dip down again, and so, whatever.
Any other questions? Okay, all in favor of approving the letter from Leadbelt Materials, please say aye.
Aye.
I would like to add that, compacting is quite a science. We see that every time you drive onto or off of a bridge, there's gonna be a little bit of a dip. It won't be a smooth approach. And once the headlights of the car ahead of you, they'll do this every time. That's caused by the fact that at the end of bridge construction, there may be a 10-foot cut to get all the supports and everything in. So they have to go in after the bridge is all up and done and fill that in, compact it. What's 98% is typical specification?
But it's never.
2% of a lot of feet is still some settling to be done.
Right.
So,
Well, if you haven't seen that, come pop by Weber sometime, because they did an extensive work, both sides of the building, the roadway out in front, the
I looked at
entrance.
the ditch too, the work that's been
It
done in
looks,
that ditch.
looks
Yeah.
very good, and they got in and out within a week.
with compaction and settling, I just
The
want to
whole-
point that out, that
tore it
that's a
out.
perpetual problem.
Yeah.
So, okay, that was done, thank you. Approval contract for Kings Road Bridge, this is for design.
Yes, this is, for Kings Road, not to be confused with Kings School Road. Because Kings School Road is already in the early stages of design and construction, to be replaced. This will be a BRO project that, Smith and Company is our on-call engineer for this. Now, Kings Road, which is off of 32 near Bismarck, it was a bridge that was about to fall down. It's got a 3-ton weight limit on it. It's on our deficient list, and it's really not one that was a priority of ours to replace. We were contemplating just demolishing the bridge and closing the road as it is, and has outlets on either side. But this was awarded through the state through the BRO project. Now, we will be able to use BRO funds and our soft match funding, and this will really be at no cost to the county taxpayers. Now, realize, even when I say that we will get this bridge built for free, San Francisco County will, but it's still being paid for a federal tax money. So the taxpayers are still funding this. It just won't have to come out of our budget, and it's a federally funded program that's facilitated through MoDOT. But this bridge will be replaced. Smith and Company just needs for the commission to approve the contract to get this process started.
Okay, motion.
I make a motion to approve the contract for the Kings Road Bridge, the Smith, we engineered through Smith and Company.
Second.
Now, I'm gonna second that, but I am gonna say something when you're thinking about these bridges, and Clay was talking about tearing it down and coming in from each side. School buses, fire departments, if you do that, it puts a burden on them because they have to go back, where if you have that bridge there, this actually exits off 32 in 2 places, so instead of having to go to the east or west end, if this bridge is there, you can come through school buses. It makes it much easier on public if that bridge is there.
This used to be 32 highway.
Correct.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's just a really good safety for really the citizens, to be able to have a school bus or a fire truck go over that.
We actually did not anticipate that this bridge would be awarded through the BRO program, but it was, and we'll take it.
It scored very high.
Yeah.
Okay, now, there's
For their
confusion
process.
always between Kings Road and Kings School Road, basically different sides of Bismarck.
But both are being, in the process of being replaced.
Yeah.
Could be a little confusion. They were actually core drilling on King's School yesterday in preparation for the engineering of it. But it's already been approved through the county commission and BRO. It's about a year ahead of this project. But they're both happening simultaneously.
Well, if you have confusion on the Kings Road, I'm not gonna tell the story again. But if you wanna rename this Monkey Road, I would be all for it, so, anyway. Just to get the confusion down. Anyway, did I get motions?
You got a motion?
You got
Yeah,
motions?
you got it.
Okay, any questions, Bob?
is this for the design of it to Smith and Company?
Yes.
That we're paying, or the construction?
Just the design.
Yes.
How
Design,
much?
Engineering and design.
How much is
Well, it's a
it?
bid.
We just start, we don't know yet.
We don't know. I'm not
So
bidding,
you're
but-
really not approving a contract as such yet, then, right? Since
Well,
you
I
don't
would-
know the amount?
Okay, I see your question.
What you're approving is authorize Smith and Company to provide a contract for the design.
Correct.
Is that,
Clay,
Correct.
did they give you a dollar amount?
No. They cannot begin until the commission approves for them to start. So we don't have a dollar amount.
And Bob, to your, we do have a contract though with, Smith and Company, right there.
but that's
their terms.
merely to select them, they're part of the, to select them to do this type
Right,
of work.
but we have their
RFQ.
RFQ,
Yes.
their standard rates and everything already set. We know what it's gonna cost them to hire them. As far as
Their
actual-
fee will be based on the overall cost of the project.
Well, excuse me for interrupting, but you approved a contract for Smith to be on call
So
for
all
a
the time,
project
yes.
like this, so the
Correct.
on-call qualifies for it, I believe.
Right, I believe so. That's what I'm saying. We've already approved them as a vendor to do this work as set. And now we've got to approve them to go ahead and design.
Now, will we ultimately approve the amount that they come back with? Okay.
Yes.
If we do that, I'm okay.
Okay.
All right.
Any other questions? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, East Missouri Action Agency has asked us to appoint some members to a board. There's their letter and there are the names that they wish request, appointed and terms. So a motion?
I make a motion, we approve the appointment list for, people, Laura Miller, Stephanie Park, Stephanie Bennett, and Zach Franklin to the East Missouri Action Agency Board. Which one?
Probably public housing, is that?
Yes,
Yeah.
PH, yeah, Public Housing Administration, right?
Okay, second.
I'll second that.
Questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Okay, that's done. Approved contract with Cochran Engineering for the Owl Creek project. You wanna talk about that?
Yeah, what this is actually the survey of Owl Creek. And this is pretty expensive survey, but the state requires, more of a detail on the survey than a normal survey. So we have asked the state, the DNR, and, we're gonna make a motion, I'm gonna make a motion to it, but, it's possible that they can pay for a part of this survey that has to be done, because when we're applying for grants through the DNR, this has to be legal survey. It'll help us with the grants with, through the state. And, this is really a must. We have to have this done. This, when we actually acquired this property, we were just basically, we went after legal, on the deed. So we have to have it surveyed. So this is really a must to move
That'd be
on
helpful to
with
us
the
in the
project.
future, too.
Yeah, and in the future, we're looking at Owl Creek on what they actually, the farm that they took in. This is actually the old bone hole. Everything has to be surveyed. So, this is really a must to move forward. So,
About how many acres?
gosh, I have it on here.
Is it 170?
I think, yeah,
78.
180, around 180 acres. But it goes back and forth across the river and along the river. So the survey jags, so it's a difficult survey, plus all the entrances through the other properties, easements, we have to have that surveyed and listed for the state.
And some rough terrain.
Yeah. And very rough terrain.
We have intentionally waited until this time of the year when the leaves are leaving, because satellite work gets a whole lot better when there's no leaves on the trees. So that's.
And it's something that, it's interesting it wasn't done when we got
That's
it
one
conveyed
thing,
to us.
that's, yeah, most just gonna leave that out.
If I recall, Commissioners, if I recall, Commission approved a survey at that time.
And never happened. Yeah. We checked on it a few months ago, couldn't believe.
We probably would have got it done cheaper then too,
Yeah.
than now, maybe.
Well, possible, my question is, who's paying for this?
We will have to pay for it out of grant,
But
right?
you talked about.
No,
having-
no.
Yeah, Hillary, it'd be the DNR, the Department of Natural Resources. They haven't approved it, but they said, they had mentioned that they could pay, we're just waiting back from them. But, her boss is actually retired, so she said it'd be another week for her.
So your motion is based upon, if funds were available?
It's gonna have to be done no matter what.
Yeah.
So we're just looking for them to pay for a partial on this survey. And, I mean, I'm just gonna go ahead and make a motion to approve Cochran Engineering for the survey of Owl Creek Park for $34,550.
And that would be to be paid for out of the general funds if we can't get it.
You cannot.
If we can't get it, correct?
Right, can we use the ARPA for this? We can use the ARPA if possible. We can use the ARPA money for this or the general funds.
And Commissioner, if I may, I think there's two separate parcels of land that were acquired at different times.
Right.
That are all now,
Yes.
adjacent, and that could have been something to do with why the survey was never done.
I'll second that, and, yeah.
And another factor is that we're learning that when you talk about surveys for this type of work, it's a much more extensive survey or whatever. And it could be that the generic surveys of your wouldn't have been good enough.
Well, some of the land, I think, was Doe Runs at one point, and then some was private that were acquired at different times.
Well, we presented, Cochran presented to the DNR ways for the man hours to be, actually to try to help. And the DNR was, they were adequate about this survey being required due to the DNR grant. So it has to be done on the DNR terms for us to apply for grants.
Any other questions, comments? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Thank you. Guess what happens next week? Right here, same place. Same place. Other business, correspondence? Public comments? Departmental reports?
One brief one, this is an update, this is not official, but this is what is supposed to be presented tomorrow. So I ran copies of the Missouri Association of Counties Senate Bill 190 Task Force report. There's 3 parts to it. One's the report, one's the proposed changes in the Bill 190, and then the final page is their proposal for the application. So that it would be a universal application, and that's a 2-page application. I know some of you don't give a rip at all about it, so I only made 4 copies, and if somebody wants them, they're welcome to them.
Okay, in your mind, you know the questions we've had. How have those been addressed?
They've been addressed completely. I just am, let's say, not optimistic that somebody will take, have been in the Senate, it will be tough to see a senator saying, oh, this is great, I'll take that and just put my name on it and submit it. The likelihood of that happening is very slight. There is a bill that is being written, though, from the original author to make some changes, and it does encompass the big changes, the ability that you have to freeze other taxing, the clarification of the age, and the fact that it includes retired teachers and,
It does.
yes, and a couple of the major things. And what they're hoping is some other senators during the debate process would take the other parts of the legislation and amend the little things onto it, and that's a possibility. Now, whether it gets through Senator Eigel, if you saw his comments in Post-Dispatch the other day, about getting rid of personal property. He's adamant about using this as a vehicle to do that, so that will
Does
be
it
fine
give
for
us
us.
authority to change the school taxes?
Yes,
It does.
yes.
And the state taxes? State of Missouri?
To freeze everything.
Okay.
It would clarify, if it could get passed, it will clarify most things that, the first 2-3 pages is what they found were lacking in the bill. The next is the actual parts of the bill that would have to be changed, and the final is the suggestion for the, form that would have to be filled
So
out.
when do you think the state will act on this?
I wouldn't hold your breath. It would be in the spring, if it's acted upon. It will be introduced, I think this one bill, this corrected bill is gonna be introduced December 1st, and then comes up as the second term, so you're gonna have bills introduced the first week, since all the committees were formed. Probably the first week of January, be vetted, go to committee, be vetted sometime in February, and, but it will be filibustered about that point unless something lets up. But it could always happen. It's just that, and then it would be done before the second week of May, and if the governor signs it, which I imagine he would if it was the changes and not getting rid of personal
Sign first.
property in August, and it'd be time for you to do what the basic time frame you were talking about, so that you, by the end of next year, 14 months from now, that you can put it into effect.
Okay.
And I also have a feeling that the oversight committee will actually read the bill this time.
I imagine somebody won't read it.
Bob?
Kevin, a number of counties have already approved Senate Bill 190 as it exists.
Their version, all the versions are different.
Okay.
They're all gonna be litigated. They're going to be sued for, some of them, and St. Louis County just adapted their own version. We will have it, for the people that make less than this amount of money. You can't, well, it'll go to court, but you can't pick and choose what parts of the law that you're going to. Now, you can, the other ones interpreted the law different, but just to say, no, we're going to only let people that make less than 155,000 or whatever they're, that, I don't see how that would pass muster in court then, because that would change all laws, saying, you know, really that 70-mile-an-hour speed limit is just kind of a suggestion. We're gonna go with 80.
It would set precedents.
It would set precedent that all laws that are
If you
passed.
drive
by-
a safer car, you can drive faster.
Yeah, and I don't think they give you that leeway, but they're all gonna, once again, the ones that have passed it for the most part, all have attorneys on staff that will fight it at no cost to them in court. We would be having to pay somebody from $200 to $300 every hour to fight it in court on things that we know are gonna be litigated. I mean, some school teacher are gonna say, this is illegal, you've picked us out and said that we're not part of this, you see what I'm saying? So we know that that's gonna be litigated. And they're willing to do so, except the one Christian county or something said, by God, we're gonna take the taxpayer side, and we challenge all the other commissions to do the same thing. Well, that's nice to say, but it's also, do you really want your taxpayers having tens of thousands of dollars worth of legal fees? Because by God, you're gonna do it whether it makes sense or not, you know?
Question, do you have to be retired?
No.
So, just the age?
Their suggestion, and this is 62. The only thing that they didn't, I didn't read in here, well, it also would qualify for somebody that qualifies for disability. Right, like when they said qualified under retired Social Security, that could also be disability. They jerked that part out in their interpretation and just put 62 years old. Well, by doing that, and
So the 25-year-old disabled person doesn't
it's not
qualify?
in their version the way I read it, but that will get vetted. I can tell you that will probably be, but this bill's, there is no author to this bill. There is one, and I've talked to his chief of staff since he used to be my chief of staff, and he's put some stuff in.
Okay, Bob?
Part of the bill addresses the fact that you could have a petition
Yes.
of registered voters that voted in the last presidential election. How would that affect the timetable that you're talking about? I mean,
Well, if
theoretically, they could
they
submit
could
a
go
petition
and get a
tomorrow.
petition and go, but they would have to adapt the current bill and it's flawed. And flawed or whatever, and that's what this is trying to circumvent is, let's get it straight before we adopt it. I'd say 80% of the counties are wanting to adopt it, but they don't want a complete legal mess. And so, if the people just say, by God, we're gonna adopt it, we're gonna take the petition, they have to, by that law, adopt the version that was in the 190.
Well, I have a comment to make, you know, whether you're for it or against it, if it is put in place, it will definitely detract from public services.
Yes, but I think that the misconceptions are so bad. Some people think that it freezes your taxes. It does not freeze your taxes. If there are other taxes that the voters approved, it only freezes your assessed value at that part of your life that you retired to keep you, the theory is to keep you from being priced out of your house by taxes. Especially in places like St. Louis County, where if you had an old house in Richmond Heights that you built for $50,000, now it's praising at $550,000, and you're being taxed at $5,000, and you have no desire to sell it, you're paying on those taxes. So there's some people think that that's going to take it back. It's not going to take it back. It's going to keep any new assessment of that house from happening. We have that under the circuit breaker for people that make less than $36,000 now, that you can apply to the state and get your money back because we didn't want people that were low income. The difference, big difference here is there is no income stopping point. So if you're, as I pointed out to somebody, 4 people that I pointed out that have assessments that are very low percentage of their true value, and yet they're multi-millionaires, they get the same as our original circuit breaker for the person that makes under $36,000. But it's only on the increase from this point forward. Now, to your point though, school districts, and they depend upon your increase in assessed values, but it would only hinder the increase in assessed values of people that are over 62 years old and no new house, no new construction. Every time you sell your house, then that appraisal of that property goes back up. It's just this is supposed to attract somebody that was their homestead, that's where they bought years ago, and that's where they plan on dying in, and they don't want them to be taxed, the tax burden to be so high that they have to sell their house because their taxes keep escalating. But they're not going to go back to where they were in 1950, or if they sell their house or buy a new house, that new house is, as Eric would tell you, is appraised at the new house value. So it's only for people that have held it a long time, and because of inflation has had their appraisals raised so much. So it would cap some of the school districts. I'm surprised, and I'm sure some of the school districts are going to sue. Because they're going to say, we went to the people, asked for this tax increase, it was granted, now you're taking it away from them.
I got a question for you, Kevin, and I know this could say a growing community in Farmington, Perryville area. Does this detour a younger generation from building a house and just renting an apartment?
I don't think so. I really don't. I think what's deterring most younger people right now from building a house is the damn interest rate. I mean, you know, the difference between an 8% interest rate and a 2.6. One of my sons got a 2.6 2 years ago, and one of them had to pay 6.8 this year. Their payments are astronomically different for the same value of home. That's probably what's going to deter it more than anything else in these growing areas. Because apartments, if you've seen the rentals on apartments on houses, I saw one in the paper the other day, I'm not going to say what, but 2-bedroom shack that I wouldn't, and they're wanting $800 something a month because of that value of everything going up. So that person that says, well, I'm not going to build a house, I just assume rent, they're going to have to pay $800,000-$900,000 a month and not get anything home.
Okay, any other public comment? I'm sorry, departmental.
I do want to thank Kevin. Thank you very much for putting your time into that task force, and I don't think we could have picked a better one.
Well, I
Thank
I
you for,
appreciate it, I don't want to do any good.
But
I've driven to Jeff City a couple times, I've driven to St. Louis a couple times, meet with
Yes.
different people, and nobody's optimistic.
you've spent a lot of time on this, and you knew they got you because of the reason they got you. You know the people that you have to deal with to get this done, and you have, and hopefully it's something to work out with it.
Well, I've got one more comment. I wanted to thank Road and Bridge, Corbin Road. We've got the, I was gonna get pictures of it for Harold and I forgot, but the Corbin Road,
We should open it tomorrow, maybe Thursday.
yeah,
Next go.
You
Before
open
the
for
end of
more
the week.
settling overnight?
yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
so.
Well, I mean, they have got actually the bridge, or it's not a bridge, it's basically a culvert style.
Prefab box
Prefab
culvert.
box culverts are in, that's gonna make that road, way more passable.
It'll be open by the weekend.
People out there are happy.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other departmental reports? Have a holiday planned closing coming up. Veterans Day is always 11/11/11. Well, because of the situation on the calendar, it's now the 10th of this year. So please honor those veterans. And that'll alter the schedule for the agenda and such. And payroll. I'm told that payroll will be affected when you have to get your reports in. So, daylight savings time goes back Sunday morning, right early. And also, so also replace your batteries in your smoke detector. Any other departmental reports? Going, gone.
I make a motion, we adjourn. Second.
All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Yeah, when can we get rid of that?